You
Do it
would.
again, you heard it. You gotta be really loose. I'm just going. Go like this. Go like this. We have something really important. Who can we trust to hold on to this? So quick.
No, you can pick another.
No, you can hold on to it.
Okay.
Don't let anyone get in there. It's very important.
You want this then?
No, you can pick. She's very upset about that. Who here likes card magic? Okay. Some of you hate card magic. I'm going to do it's going to be my favorite card trick. I need someone from over here who wants to help me.
I'll do it.
You can just stand right there.
Okay.
Okay. We just have a deck of cards. You're the hands of the audience. And do you know everyone here?
Know some of the people here?
Do you not know anyone in the back area over there?
Yeah. Don't know someone.
Who don't you know?
That gentleman.
You're going to meet him right now.
Okay.
Can you stand up for a second? What was your name?
Jan.
Jan?
John.
John? And what's your name?
Luke.
Luke? Everyone say what's up. Just say stop anytime.
Stop.
Okay. We're going to be signing this card. Doesn't really matter what it is. The two. And keep staying standing back there. Sign it really big. All right. And keep standing right here. I'm going to kind of walk through this way.
Yeah.
So you can all see this card. And you can stay right back here. This is the card. All right. Luke, can you hold your hand out? We'll fold it in half, and then half again. Close it in your hand. Hold it up like this. Look cool. Very good. And just keep holding nice and tight. Yeah. All right, we'll do the same thing. Just say stop anytime. Stop. Okay. You want to sign this card? Doesn't matter what it is. Keep holding it up. Sign it right in the middle. We got the King of Clubs over here. And right there. And just can you put your initials down that way? Just keeping the pen on fire. King of Clubs over here. Everyone over here, remember the King of Clubs. Hold it in like this. We'll fold it in half. Again, closing your hand, pull up like this. Everyone go like this. And like this. And snap. Luke, did you feel anything?
No.
Just say yes.
Yes.
Pretty wild, huh? The two cards just change places. Can I get a no way?
No way. No way.
No. The hard part's making them go back. Luke, I can come anywhere near you since you signed your is it 2 or 3?
Yeah.
2.
Two.
So it'd be impossible for you to have Jan sign the king in your hand.
Correct.
Slowly open up your hand. Open up that card. Open up your hand. Open up your hand.
You signed it after you closed your hand.
Your signature.
Yeah.
Everyone give them a huge round of applause. How we doing so far?
I believe in magic now.
What was that?
I believe in magic now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some of you know this, but I always carry a piece of shrimp. I use it to break people's patterns, so I'll go to like the grocery store, and I'll put all my groceries on the conveyor belt and then a single piece of shrimp. So they're just kind of ringing everything up, and then this rolls up. I'm like, yeah, I just want one. But I love to do it at like vegan restaurants. You go to a vegan restaurant, and as soon as I did this at Cafe Gratitude recently, as soon as the food comes out, I'll just have this like palm in my hand. I'm like, is there supposed to be shrimp in that food? Literally the last time they almost shut the restaurant down. She's Thank you. Here's the thing, if you ask someone to think of a word, they'll think of one of like 50 words. Penguin's one of them. So we're gonna make this really hard. I have a book over here with like literally probably like 50,000 words in it. Okay. And I'm gonna have a bunch of different people pick words. So we'll start from over here. I'm gonna go like this. Just say stop at any time. Stop. And look at the first word on that page. Don't say it out loud. You got the word? Oh. Oh. Does someone else want to look at it? Can you see it? You want to see it too, just in case. Don't say it out loud. You got it? Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna go like this. Say stop at any time.
Stop.
Right there. Look at the first word on that page. You got it?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. You like that word?
I love it.
Does it have an opposite?
Does that have an opposite?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it could, yeah.
Do you want to think of the opposite instead of that word, so it's not even a
Sure,
word
I'm
that's in
thinking
this
of
book?
the opposite right now.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, think of that word. And let's see. And I'll throw this book to you. All right. And can you open at any page? Make sure all the pages aren't the same. They're all different. Yep. And all the words are different. Don't. And I want instead of it. Is your big word small word?
It's a small word.
It's a small word. Can you think of a big word like a tough word for us? You got it? And show it to one other person. Just anywhere on the page. Doesn't matter. You got it? Close the book. Throw it up here. No one touch the book. Yeah, you can just throw it right on the ground. Great. All right, everyone think of your words. All right. Let's see here. Think of the first letter. Think of the first letter in your word. Okay? Think of the first letter in your word. I'm going to try to send the first letter in your word to her. What was your name? Stacy. Send the first letter of your word to Stacy. You ready? On the count of three, I want you to say the word out, the letter out loud. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It's pretty close. But you're not a mind reader, so we'll do the second letter. Okay, think of the second letter. And look at me this time. Yours wasn't a B, was it? Okay. Say the second letter out loud. I. We'll try this again. Open up to any page. Again, think of a nice tough word. What was that word?
This is the same thing.
Oh,
This is the same page.
think of a nice tough word. You got one?
Oh, okay.
You got one? Close it, throw it up here. Okay, we got a new word. Look at me. Got off track. You getting another letter? Say it out loud.
W.
This is going well. Bad page. W. Think of the second letter. I'm getting an E.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote a word down. Say your word out loud.
Weightlifter?
Weightlifter? You're thinking of a word. You're thinking actually the opposite of your word, right?
I am.
Okay. I'm getting an E. Am I right?
Yeah.
The first time, what was your word?
Enemy?
Enemy?
Yeah, enemy.
I didn't say anything. How?
Last one. Over here. Oh, you're thinking of a word. Do you remember it? Okay, see. Okay, we'll read it.
I remember.
Alright. Look at me right here. Is that your word?
No.
No? What was your word?
Peace.
Peace?
Peace.
Peace. Peace sign. I'm just Peace? This is going to be even better than that. Well, okay. Who has a dictionary?
I do.
This is not.
Oh, no way.
If you go to page 237,
Sure. No, my God.
237, left column.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No way.
237. I am scrolling.
The left column and then the first word on it.
Okay. I am on the left. I am on the left column. First word.
237, first word. Say it out loud, really loud.
No.
It's peace!
And you just throw that up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Woo!
Does anyone have like a $20 bill?
I have $10 bill.
Or a yeah.
All right, we're gonna take this out. Wow.
No? You got a 10, you got a 20.
You know, we're struggling. We
Because
can
you keep giving people your money.
do that long.
Yeah.
That's great.
Alright. Having fun yet?
Yeah.
And show everyone what you did.
Thank you.
Okay.
Everyone see that?
Nope.
That's illegal. No, it's really not. Can you fold that in half?
That's how founders
Or
do
right
it.
back, or down the expert. And then fold it in half again. And then half again. And one more time. Oh, we did a little triangle. Here, we'll do this. Alright. And I'm going to put this in here. Can you hold on to my wrist?
Yeah, I got you.
Everyone go like this.
Oh.
Completely gone.
Oh.
Jonah, you stole it?
Look back in your wallet.
No.
No.
Look back in your wallet, yeah.
Oh, I have another one.
Open it up.
What?
I didn't sign this one.
Check it.
That would have been awesome. No. But we're in LA, it's got to be better than that, right? So we'll get back to your 20.
100.
Be fun to me. I'll go back to your 20 and I promise it'll be worth it. Okay? All right, but before we do, you want to see a Rubik's Cube trick?
Yeah.
Can you shuffle this up for me?
Sure.
That's good enough. Oh, a little bit hard, I think, but
I think this is good enough.
no, keep going.
Keep going, okay.
After this trick, we'll get back to your 10. Okay?
Yeah.
Great. Keep going. I have another cube over here.
Okay.
I'm going to shuffle this one too. Okay?
Okay.
Keep shuffling. Actually, I'll shuffle it behind my back. I don't want you to be able to see it though. This is yours. Working under tough circumstances here. Actually, can you stand up for me?
Yeah.
Shuffle that behind your back. Does it feel like I'm controlling you?
Yes, actually.
What if when you brought that out, both of our cubes were solved?
That would be amazing.
Put it.
Yeah.
Stop whenever you want.
Okay.
Can you stop?
Yes.
Bring the cube up front. That almost solved.
Wait.
Now you can sit down. Everyone give me a huge round of applause. Here's the thing. That would have been good, but I'm actually going to solve these in my record time of 47 minutes. So everyone say go. Say go. Actually, what if you already solved it?
Me?
Just not the way you thought you would.
Okay.
If you shuffle one behind your back, I shuffle one behind my back. What if one side matched?
Oh yeah, this side matches. Yeah, it matches. In fact, all the sides.
Actually, two sides?
Yeah.
Three?
All sides.
That's like.
All six sides.
Oh my gosh.
I will try to solve this in under a minute.
Okay.
All right, with one hand.
Without hands.
Behind my back.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Underwater.
You have the water?
Here we go.
And the glass.
Okay. And then we'll get back to your $5 bill.
Turn 10-5.
Ready? Say go.
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 Oh, I swear he's gonna say
Oh, wow.
Alright, let's do two more quick ones, and then we'll get back to your $1 bill, okay? We have a couple forks. Can someone make sure these are?
No way.
Yeah, it's right here, your business card. And it just says your business card. Stupid joke, people love it. And then but on the other side, it has your name, place to write your name, phone number, email. So I'll just hand it to them. They write their name, phone number, and email, and then at the bottom, sometimes I'll turn into a magic trick. I'll have them write something about themselves that I couldn't possibly know,
Very nice.
and then I'll know something about them later. But then what I do is I take it. I have one I just used last night. I'll take it and I'll step away and I'll write as many things about that person from our conversation on the back. So this is a few people I got one from the other day, and they want me to do an event, but I just wrote that they moved to Austin, they have a legal tech company, and they live in Singapore. That way when I contact them later on, I'll have something to do. But then what I'll do, I talk about how do you create conspiracy with people. I will give them some of these. If they don't have a card, I'll just give them some of these so they can do this somewhere else. So it just makes them look good. So a big part of creating a conspiracy is how do you make someone look good to the people in their life? Or how do you make them look good in their next interaction? Or how do you help them in their next interaction? So I love creating these little tools that do that. And I brought a bunch of these so everyone can kind of have these too. And the cool part about this is this used to be, that was such a negative part of the experience for me where I was always bummed that people, I'm like, why aren't people calling me? They're so excited. And now this is, I get more business from this stupid little card than almost anything that I do. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I want to ask you one more thing,
Yeah.
because we talk a lot about personal branding, and it's a little bit what you want out in private marketing.
Yeah.
I feel like the shrimp is your calling card. How did you come up as a magician? Personal branding is probably the most, one of the most important things. How did you come up with what your brand as a magician is?
It's just one of the shrimp is funny because it's every time you think of a shrimp now, especially the people at the castle the other night, you'll think of it's such an odd thing, but it's one of those things that's it could be in that setting, but it's a little bit, it's out of place, and it just kind of appears out of nowhere. So yeah, it's just again, it's talking about breaking patterns. How do you do something a little bit strange and weird maybe? It doesn't have to be brilliant, but if it's at least a little bit interesting, people might remember it. So even when who's here is bad at remembering people's names. I think we all struggle with that at different times. So I like to think about that situation, how can I make people remember my name? So one of the things I'll do, I might have done it the other night, but I'll say, I'm Jeff with 3 F's. And it'll make them go, wait, what? And I'm like, it's not really, but now you remember my name, but it creates this weird little pattern break in that moment. And you can do that almost with any name or have something you say to make them remember it. But that's just a small example, but an example that we run into every day, right?
Yeah, and us cheering your name too.
Also get someone around you that's really supportive. Those who don't know, Plus is my business partner, so we do a ton of events together. He has a production company, so we do a lot of fun stuff. But we also just like, we love working with like lots of businesses and helping people out and having fun.
Wait, does he know your secrets?
Does he know my secret? He's also a magician.
Oh.
I have a question for you. Have you ever had any moments still now when you're in the Magic Castle and you're with other magicians where one of you is blowing each other's mind still and you're really like, I still don't really know what that is? Or does that happen?
It happens once in a while. It's usually little things now, like really tiny pieces of a routine or something like that. The problem is I work with like a lot of the top creative consultants in the world for magic. So we help the people like you see on TV, Dave Blaine, Chris Angel, all those guys. They all have a team of people like me that create for them. And a lot of magic has like little tells that go with it. So we design those experiences for them. So when other people are doing magic, your brain, even if you don't try to, it's like decoding it as it's going. It's like seeing the matrix and whatever you do. Like you kind of get to that point. But once in a while, someone does something. It's like I don't know what's going on. But then the brain's like and tries to figure it out. But yeah, once in a while. So.
How long does it take to master a specific one? Like a specific act?
To master like a specific trick. Some of them are easy. Some of them you can master in like a few seconds. It's like they're called like a self-working trick. Some of them take literally months or years to like really perfect. The hardest stuff I think is more like audience interaction and misdirection in a space where you're controlling where people are looking. Like people are very predictable, so you can like in a way control where they're looking through your actions and the movement of things and what you put what you put your attention on. People go toward that. So like that's the hard thing to like really figure out.
Because you're reading people a lot as you're going through their
Trying to, or making people think like I am.
Thank you.
Okay, I have an interesting question. We're all into tech here, and there's been a ton of talk about social media and algorithms being, like that magician behind the scenes, controlling people's behavior. What do you think? Like, have people ever tried to consult with you to help design behavioral change that's necessary for like a tech company? Or someone said, hey, I really would love your help, driving sales or things like that?
In ways, I'll come in and do that type of thing. A lot of more of what I do though is I'll come in to like a company and do more of their bigger events and stuff like that. So I'm not usually, when it gets to that point, I usually have a couple of people I bring in and I work with them to do that. Because usually you want like a group of people kind of like helping and tweaking when it comes to that type of thing. I don't know if that fully answers your question, but
I have a question about the trick you performed on me the other day.
Which one?
Is it possible to
The
disclose?
coin bend?
No, like Alaska thing, like you wrote in the card. So literally what happened when we were leaving the Magic Castle, we were staying at the ballet, and I asked Jeff, like, can you do like one more thing for me? So he said, he gave me like a piece of paper and said like, write the name of the place where you want to go. And before, like we've been discussing with him in the place, like that he was going like, to Monaco and other places. And the first thing I had in mind, okay, I write Monaco. And then like, no, he probably knows because we were talking about this. And I put like Alaska. And he asked me like to, fold it. And he wrote exactly the same thing on his card, but he was like 5, feet apart from me. And then he showed it to me and I was like, what the fuck? That was I wrote. And I don't know how you got it.
So basically
Is it
how that
somehow
works.
you like
I'll explain how it
gave it to me?
No.
And it's kind of the same like you did with Enemy, with Jonah? Is it kind of the same?
Anyways, there's a lot of techniques. There's so many magic tricks that, like, I could do that same one, like, 10, 20 different ways. Like, you study a lot of different ways to do it, and you do the ones that you like, or you change it up so that when people, if you do it again on someone, you're doing it a different way, so if they're looking for something, they're looking for the wrong thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How do you differentiate between a stunt and magic? AKA, like David Blaine does lots of things like stabbing stuff. So are those stunts or are they magic or like what?
A lot of them are, he mixes it all kind of together. But a lot of his stunts are more for publicity and that type of thing. But he should be dead like 10 times over. That guy's, he's nuts. But he does things to his body that no one should live through. literally all this stuff. It's like endurance stuff and training your body to do things it shouldn't do or should die doing. Yeah. He's about to have a show in Las Vegas pretty soon. He's on like residency there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, okay, last one. Mia, Matt, I just want to say before Mia goes, we did something with manifestation and we have a bucket list, and Mia had on her bucket list within 5 years Magic Castle. So we have to let her know.
I'm happy I met you all there.
Yeah.
Now, where do you see the future of Magic going?
Downhill. Couldn't tell the way I break patterns is with humor. So, the future of Magic, for me, people are always like, why are you not on TV, right? And I've been asked to be on TV, and I've thought about it, but I think Magic should be experienced in person, and it's why I love the Magic Castle so much, because people are there, they're not on their phones for 5 hours, and you're just in the moment experiencing this, and I think that's what we're all craving more than ever now. And you're on tech, so like I think when we can do stuff like this where people are in a place, this type of experience is I think where it hopefully will go and should go. So more live and that type of thing. So, but online is a lot more popular now. I don't love it. I think this is how you should experience it. And like we were at Magic Castle. Hopefully that answers that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram?
No, it's thank you. I'm the worst at promoting.
I'll send it.
Jeff Kaylor.
Yeah.
Jeff Kaylor. So I am
am.
Jeff Kaylor.
Just follow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Everyone follow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
I'll follow you
Jeff.
back.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
I want to do more, and I want to have you on stage.
Sounds great.
Like,
Cool.
great.
And I can do more like the teaching stuff in the future too.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, I'll leave this. So there's a whole bunch of the business cards. And if you just want them, I can send you the things so you can print them on your own too. So.
Thank you.
Got it. Get out of your way.
You are not in our way. You are dominant. We are blessed by your presence. Thank you. So, great. So we just had a little bit of magic to start out our night. And now we're going to talk a little bit more about magic. We just did online magic, or in real life magic. But we're going to talk about behind the scenes magic that goes on online while going viral. So that's my segue. I have two amazing people. You may have seen them before around. Please introduce yourself on the panel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pei. Thank you. Creator of the Harlem Shake and Mannequin Challenge and a bunch of other different trends. I used to run ginormous meme networks. And now working with Launch House and founders.
My name is Sebastian. I run a marketing agency and media agency, and we do a lot of content for different brands. We've done over 1 billion views, around 10 million followers, and we're doing around almost 250 videos a month, so pumping out the content and good answering questions and help you guys.
Great. So I'm going to start by asking some questions to them, and then we'll do a Q&A, and it will be short because this is a part of our variety show. And anyone else afterwards wants to do a flip, wants to do something. I know we had some people doing the worm. Let us do it. We're going crazy. There are no parents here. It's just us. All right. So I want to actually, and I've always wanted to know this, how does one come up with a viral challenge, with the Harlem Shake? What's the brainstorming like? What were the goals? Take us to the room of how that happened.
Yeah, definitely. So this is going to break a lot of people's hearts, but a lot of viral trends, most viral trends that you see online are all manipulated and created by people for different things. So the Mannequin Challenge and the Harlem Shake, it was really just song promo for different record labels. We basically had different like metrics that we were given and like standards for like how they want music portrayed, and then we would basically manipulate that and turn it into pieces of content. We usually would have like 10 to 15 different influencers create different pieces of content for us, and then whichever one performed the best, we would just blow up on different platforms. So usually when we have like different viral trends, we just have a bunch of different people that will like create test trends for us, and then we'll blow up the one that like does the best essentially.
So thinking of like a lot of founders in here, it was like the hardest to get maybe your first 1,000 users. I feel like with viral trends, it's the hardest to get like the first 1,000 people to do it. Like now I'm thinking of like the minion trend is something like, I'm like, oh, I totally want to do that. But if there's just a few people, it's like, do you want to do that? How do you get your like first 1,000 people to actually like participate in it who aren't the influencers?
Yeah, definitely. So I tell this with a lot of people too when I talk about social media growth. The first like 1,000 followers is genuinely the hardest you can ever like try to gain. Then like I always say that like the 1 million to like 10 million is so much easier than like 0 to 1,000, because everything on social media is because of network effects and like seeing other people participate in things and like do things. So when you have just like a very flat, like no trend, no one's done anything, no one's followed you, it's really hard to get other people to participate in that versus like when you already have like a very established platform. So usually when we have to start out trends, we have to spend just like a ton of money to like get people to initially engage with it. And then after that is when it starts organically taking off because they see other people participating and like trying to like participate in the trends or whatever we're promoting.
So by paying money, is that paying money for accounts to like retweet or for like people to actually do the content?
Yeah, so we have like a bunch of like giant like meme networks and like other types of influencers and creators. So we pay like the initial few, like usually the first like 100 creators, and then from there we just go to other creators to like participate in it, because if we can basically convince other creators that they'll gain a better following because they're participating in something, they'll do it for free, because creators like they love growth, especially if it's easy growth. So a lot of the times it's just like convincing creators to participate in it.
Yeah, so talking about like trends, Sebastian, you are heavily in TikTok right now. And I feel like so much of TikTok is like the trends, like we all could sing the little songs or like what the dances are or whatever going on right now. Like, how do you decide what trends to use for your brands, and like when should people use trends and when should they just come up with like original content to tell their story?
Yeah, so a big thing about trends is like understanding, like I think catching it early. I think trends are happening every single week, and there's certain tactics that you can use, like looking up trend alert or just like trends that are happening now. One thing that I like to do also is trends typically start with the biggest creators. So finding creators that are around that kind of like earlier, not crazy big, but around like 1 to 5 million, who are posting like 3 times a day, and seeing like, okay, this is a trend, let me check the sound. Okay, this sound, the top videos are, anywhere between like 1 to 3 days old, and there's around, 10 to 15,000 videos. And then seeing how often people are posting and seeing like, okay, they're verified creators who have a ton of followers also posting this as well. This might be one worth posting or copying or hopping on the trend as well. Typically you want to have a trend that is replicable for whatever you do. So, I always tell people like, your content should either, people want to be perceived as cool, sexy, smart, or in the now. So if your trend can make you be perceived as that, then I would definitely try it out, And, they're super quick, super easy. I always tell people, like, if you're not cringing, you're not trying hard enough. So always just try to go a little extra and, just keep bumping them out, honestly. It's never going to be one video that's going to change your life, so.
Do you have a specific like client or kind of like trend you use, like a story of kind of how it helped convert them in the startup space, like a specific video that did pop off?
Yeah, I mean, there's always those like hooks, 3 reasons why I did this, or this thing that happened in my life changed my whole trajectory. There's these hooks that you can consistently use, but there's never like a trend that like you're gonna do and like this is the answer, right? This is the formula to success. Trends are happening every single week, and it's actually kind of crazy. Like if you don't do the trend and it's like 2 weeks, it's kind of old already, right? So it's important to I typically actually have a dead account, like a inactive account that I just use to actually follow big creators who are consistently posting, and that way I can always see what they're posting and see which trends are popping. But I think it's more, TikTok specifically is a place where you just want to be raw. You want to storytell what's happening. You don't have to be so picture perfect, and also other strategies where you can like duet people who are doing something similar to you and kind of piggyback off their, views and stuff that they're doing as well if you're starting off. But it's really just, having that really, really strong hook in the beginning, your first few seconds is what really matters.
Yeah, especially like the view time from the hook.
Yeah, one of the biggest 3 data points in like what TikTok kind of prioritizes in pushing a video is, your watch through rate, your comments, and then your shareability. So, you want to really try to make your videos, as lean as possible, no dead space. You want to be talking through everything. You don't want no empty space. You want to sometimes overstimulate them with like, if you have like 3 lines you want to say, you don't want to say them all continuously. You want to say like 1 line in one area, 1 line in a different part of the house. Consistently be changing the scene, and kind of engage people to comment. You want to be a little controversial. You want to maybe not take a stance on a controversial topic, but just bring it up with facts and have people argue about it in the comments. And when it comes to shareability, you want to think, why would someone share this? Why would I share this to you? Let's say like I know that you do interviews and I send you a video that says, 3 good interview questions to ask your next person. I send that to you, that's valuable to you now, right? So now you perceive me as someone that gave you something of value. It's like this kind of like attention currency. So you want to think of like, before you come up with the idea, why would someone share this? And if they were to share it with the person that gets it, receive value.
Gotcha. Cool. I have more questions, but since this is a short one, I would rather you all ask questions. So let's ask some questions to Kay and Sebastian.
What about like Twitter strategy? Like just all.
Let's get into Twitter. How do you do a thread?
So, I'll drop my Twitter alpha. Basically, a lot of people, especially if you have like businesses that are very niche, or you have something that like you have to make very creative content around, but you don't know what type of content to make, I always tell people to reverse engineer the content. So if you have like a specific topic that you're trying to sell to your customers, instead of just telling them what they need to like perceive about your business, try to go after questions that your customers are already asking about your business's related topics. So like if you have like a bathtub business, go to like Reddit or Ask Quora or Ask.com, like all those like websites that people ask questions, and then see the question that they ask, look in the answers that people are providing, and make content around the answers that people have provided for those questions. And that's just like a huge like value add to people, because you already have these answers to questions that have been asked. You know people are asking them, so you just have to repurpose it and put it into a very meaningful way that people will engage with. So that's usually how I make all my content.
Can you talk a little bit about the actual dollar amounts needed for something like Harlem Shake?
Yeah, the Harlem Shake, it was actually pretty cheap because that was like really early in like the internet like trend days. Because if you look at like viral trends nowadays on like TikTok and stuff, they usually only last for like less than 24 hours versus the Harlem Shake, that was like a months long trend that happened. So we only originally spent like $500 to promote it to different Tumblr pages, and then on Tumblr it blew up, and then we had a bunch of YouTubers repost the Tumblr content, and then it just blew up from there. So it's very cheap ROI. I also didn't get paid for the Harlem Shake, so I was only 14 at the time, so it was very just like trying shit out.
Did anyone see the Harlem Shake on the plane video? On a commercial flight, people did the Harlem Shake. It was insane. It seared into my mind how that even happened. Anyway, what were other places that the Harlem Shake took place?
I mean, at Launch House, we see people from like literally every country, and everyone that has like come to Launch House has been like, oh yeah, I've seen someone do that, or like I did that in middle school. So
we actually did it in my school, and someone got suspended. Great, let's ask more questions. Any last questions?
Yeah, I have a question on maybe starting off with a content platform and like a specific type of niche that maybe you're like really well known for, and then later you want to transition away from it. Do you have any like tips on how to gracefully transition out of a topic that you've been talking about, or like how to like shift your audience? Or should you just start over, start from scratch?
yeah, so I actually hosted a TikTok for Founders Sprint for Launch House, and that was a very common question. Like, if I'm an influencer on TikTok, for example, that's been making like fintech or like financial like advice for the past 2 years, like how do I make like a new audience? And a lot of times I usually just recommend people to explore like multiple different accounts, because if you already have an established following that's already very aware of like what you're posting and expecting you to post about that, you shouldn't take away from that audience and just completely switch up. You should explore like a new account and build up a new following around a new topic, so you don't lose that already following that's like very established and like dedicated to you. It's kind of different for other platforms because it takes a lot more work to grow outside of like TikTok. So usually I recommend exploring on TikTok, blowing up a little bit on there, and then growing followings outside of that platform.
A different part related to virality, what are your tips in handling shitstorms? If you post something that doesn't go well and people hate it, and
Like
that's
cancel culture?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
PR man.
It's different for like every situation. Like getting canceled is a very tricky thing to explore. Usually my biggest recommendation is just like shut the fuck up. Like if you're getting canceled, go away. Close your laptop, shut down your phone, and just like let it ride out. A lot of times people will like instigate and like make the situation worse by trying to clean up. So like the best thing you can do is just like get out of people's eyes. Just don't worry about it. You'll get canceled for a little bit. If you said something in like 6th grade that was controversial, just let it ride out.
People
What do
forget.
you say?
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, no, like, just go away, because people will literally forget about it in like the next week or 2 weeks, and they'll be on to someone else. You know what I mean? The internet's so saturated that, you know, people forget.
We actually had a speaker here, Kristen, beforehand, and she said she was getting canceled for saying she prefers remote work. So sometimes people can't, you know, there's obviously a range of what you can get canceled for. But then I do know some people have been like fully canceled, so it really depends. Has anyone here been canceled? That was a joke, but like thanks for revealing yourself.
It was also on remote work.
Oh, really? It's a touchy, yeah. People try to cancel me over phone calls.
Like a thread on remote work tonight in my teacher.
Awesome. Maybe 1 or 2 last questions. Yes,
A
Jonah.
question for both of you. Like, how would you tap into a viral network, whether it's on TikTok or a meme network or on somewhere else? Like, where would you even go to look if you were actually looking to promote through that medium?
Well, I think there's the obvious way, like obviously financial, but like if you want to go other than that, I mean, at the end of these days, these are like media channels, and at the end, you know, what they prioritize is content. So coming in with some type of value where, you know, at the end of the day, they want stuff to post. So if you're able to come in with good content that is relatable to their followers, that they're able to post, get, you know, engagement, and, you know, be able to monetize off that, you're making their job so much more easier. And being able to build that relationship with them that way, I think could be a good entry, rather than just like, oh, how much for a post, right? Because then you're just like every other person that's asking them to post.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that stops people from working with those big networks is reaching out to them. You'd be very surprised like how often creators will respond to like their DMs and emails and stuff. So like, just ask them like if they'll do something for you, and more than likely they'll respond. Maybe not if it's like Charlie D'Amelio or something, but like it's really easy to get in touch with creators if you just go that extra mile to like get into their like stratosphere.
And then also hitting them, like if you know that they're huge on TikTok or Instagram, maybe hit them up on Snapchat or Twitter where they're not that big and they're more likely to actually respond to your messages and stuff.
I have one last question, which is, how do you, and we talked about this with some people in the house, like, how do you deal with like your personal identity getting like wrapped up within social media and like the highs and lows of following and like imposter syndrome and all that, like, and personal brand, like how do you deal with yourself as a vehicle for social media?
Yeah, my golden rule, because I work so heavily in social media, is I just don't use it personally. So like if you look at my Instagram or my Twitter or like any social media that I haven't posted in years, because it's so bad and draining for your mental health that I just like refuse to use it outside of like my working situations. So I usually just like very much limit myself because it's really easy to get like wrapped into that and just be like super addicted. TikTok's a different story, y'all. I'm so addicted to TikTok. But
Do you make content, or are you just like addicted to this scrolling?
Yeah, I kind of tell myself like, oh, I'm just learning the new trends, but then it's been like 8 hours every single day. Damn.
Who here has gotten the thing where it's like, stop, take a break, you're going a walk? I have.
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing, one thing from, we post hundreds of videos a month, and, not obviously some hit, some don't, but I always tell people, like, once you've made the content, just forget about it. Like, don't care so much about the views and the engagement, just care more, like, were you happy with what you did? Do you feel like you tried your best? Do you like the result of it? And if you say yes, then that's all that matters. I think, talking to a lot of influencers, they try to create content to make their life look cool rather than just like making their life cool to make cool content. So I think just try to create a life that is interesting rather than trying to create content, because then you're gonna have this, like you said, identity crisis, and I have to keep up with this person who I'm not, and then you have to fake it, and then it's a whole downtrend. But yeah, just be raw. And again, like social media is now becoming more raw. So if you are more transparent with what is actually happening in your life and what you're going through, it's probably relatable if someone's actually going through it, probably just what you're going through as well. But yeah, I would say just try to create the life that is interesting rather than trying to make it through content.
Great, well thank you so much. Now you know the background story behind Kay and Sebastian, and we want to see your viral content. And I hope you enjoyed a little bit of magic, so thank you. Appreciate everyone for coming to this one-time only variety show.
Board games?
Secret Hitler.
Yeah. The section was good.
What's up, man? Thanks for coming.